My buddy accidentally got my ex blacklisted from the police department, and it all started with a taser to the ass. So my ex's dream was to be a cop, full-on mall cop energy, did ride-alongs, helped bust kids buying cigarettes, was obsessed. Years later we break up, she moves home, I don't hear from her until she asks me to be a reference for her police application. I say sure, why not? But then, she also puts down my buddy Chris. And that was a critical mistake. A few weeks later a detective calls me for her background check. I miss the call, try to call back, never hear from him again. Months later I'm pre-gaming with Chris before his band's show. Someone mentions my ex. Chris sighs and says, "Oh yeah, she's mad at me." I ask why and this man casually drops, "I think I got her blacklisted from the police department." So apparently, the detective did call Chris. Chris was at work and told him to call back later. By the time the detective actually called, Chris had crushed multiple 40s of King Cobra. Now, normally Chris is mild-mannered and quiet, but drunk Chris thinks everyone is in on the joke. So this man, half drunk, answers the detective's questions and hypes up my ex. Then the detective asks, "Can you give me an example of her demonstrating law enforcement skills?" And this dude, fully convinced this was a great story, picks her 21st birthday. He tells the detective she got blackout drunk, that we had to carry her to bed, and, the cherry on top, how I gifted her a taser that night, and you already know what happens when a bunch of drunk 20-somethings see a taser. Who's getting tased first? Naturally, Chris volunteers. So now, this detective is on the phone, listening to this half-drunk idiot excitedly tell a story about how the police applicant got wasted, opened a taser as a gift, and immediately zapped the dude on his bare ass in front of 50 people. Chris thought the detective would find it hilarious. The detective did not. A few days later my ex gets a call. "Yeah, we're passing on you. Also, maybe pick better references." She was furious, sent Chris a long angry email, and honestly, I get it. I have no idea what she ended up doing, but I'd like to believe that years later she can at least laugh about it. Moral of the story, pick your references wisely, never let a drunk guy handle a background check, and for the love of God, don't let them tell stories involving tasers. What's the worst reference disaster you've ever heard? Drop it in the comments.